Well, look ye here.
There's something in the water. I didn't realize there was a pond here.
Yeah, this is Taka Pond. And it happened to have saved my life once upon a time.
What do you mean?
As a kid, I survived life under the past lords by escaping here when I needed to. It's terrible to swim in, but great for catching a bite for dinner away from Ren and eyes. Bear in mind, our rations back then weren't enough to live off of. You had to take matters into your own hands if you wanted enough food to survive.
But how did you catch them? With your bare hands?
That might take a while. Fish are prone to swim away at the first sign of trouble. I'd put bait or a lure on a line and use it with a fishing rod. You must not be familiar with fishing if this sounds new to you. Here, let me show you how it's done.
I hope we catch something decent.
Indeed. Hungry bellies are counting on this. Now where might those fish be? Yeah! I've got something. We can get a good meal out of this fella.
Hopefully it tastes better than it looks.
And that's all there is to it.
Wow. It seems like you need to have good reflexes to catch anything. I don't know if it's really for me. Kisara? I think I've seen enough.
Oh, sorry. I guess I'm just in my own little world when I go fishing.
Looks like we're going to be here for a while.
That's how fishing goes. You wait for a bite, and then the real battle begins. Miguel told me that different fish live in different regions, and you have to pick the right rod and lure for what you're hoping to catch.
But that doesn't change the fact it's a giant time sink.
Of course, each fish has its own unique flavor, too. And some of them are supposed to be extremely delicious.
When you put it like that, maybe it's worth me trying my hand at fishing after all.
You're just in it for the food.
I was hoping we'd get to fish during our travels. And it just so happens I made sure to grab my brother's old rod before I left Vicente. So, if you ever feel like fishing when we've got a little downtime, just let me know.
Good to hear. Thanks for showing us. Okay!
think the animal's... Hey. Is it just me, or have those two barely spoken a single word to one another?
I know, right? But after everything that happened with Miguel, is it really any wonder?
Kinda puts a damper on the whole journey though, huh? How long do you think they're gonna keep this up?
If it bothers you that much, why don't you ask them?
Why do I have to ask?
How come you walk together like that?
She really doesn't beat around the bush.
You mean Kisara and myself?
You hadn't noticed? You've been practically joined at the hip ever since we left Vicente.
I guess it's force of habit, most likely. I was always ready to protect him, should the need arise. It sort of came with the job description.
Right. From being in the Elder Menancia Guard. Although, Dohalim's pretty capable of defending himself, isn't he?
Having guards doesn't necessarily mean the one being guarded is weak. No one's perfect all the time.
Even so, it's not like they're entirely wrong, Kisara. You're no longer in my employ, after all.
I don't know. I mean, if it's what she's used to and you're both comfortable with it, then who are we to judge?
But she doesn't serve him anymore. It isn't normal for her to keep following him around like she still does.
You know, she's probably right. And a lot has changed over the last few days. I guess it wouldn't hurt to rethink our relationship in light of the new circumstances. Perhaps I'll give it some thought after all. Does that sound all right by you?
Of course.
You might want to stop asking his permission for every little thing while you're at it.
Sorry. It's not that easy, shaking off old habits. I'll probably need a little time to get fully used to it. I've noticed that sometimes we come across enemies who fight like you, and try to dodge our attacks at the last second.
I hate those guys. I can get some hits in when they move into attack, but otherwise they slip past damn near everything else I throw at them.
If what you're seeking is a way to more reliably hit them, there is a solution.
Try to outclass them on reflexes?
I possess the ability to command Earth elemental beings to some extent. They emerge as the land itself and take root on my command. They will swiftly bind the enemies, at which point you can dispatch them.
Huh?
What he means is that he can make plants grow to hold the enemies in place. At least I think that's probably what he's saying.
I'm glad at least one of us understands him. So basically, if we find an enemy that likes to dodge, we should let Dohalim handle it.
I shall do what I can within my modest means to help.
Dohalim's fighting style is... what's the word I'm looking for? Subdued? No...
Do you mean elegant, perhaps?
Yeah, that's the word. For better or worse, you can definitely tell he's cut from posh Renin cloth.
And he's not just skilled with the staff either. He can also use astral arts, including healing ones. I can see how he made it to the position of a lord.
You flatter me, but my fighting techniques merely come from a style that aims to conserve energy by minimizing body movement.
Is that why you wait until the last second before you dodge attacks? To avoid unnecessary movements?
No, I do that to sharpen my senses. I find that doing so is an effective means of drawing out my innermost strength.
Oh yeah, I've noticed you look stronger and strike out with your rod more after you dodge attacks. Guess that's why.
Still, it's a risk. Don't you ever worry you'll dodge at the wrong moment?
Then, it'll be just as well.
Huh?
It's nothing. Let us continue. Something feels odd here. Be on your guard.
I just noticed none of you other Danans have spirit cores. Why is that?
Both of my parents were part of the resistance in Calaglia. In fact, my birth was kept a secret from the Renans.
Mine too. We always lived in hiding, so I never had a spirit core embedded in me like I was supposed to.
What about you, Alphen? You were a slave in Calaglia before all this, weren't you?
To be completely honest, I'm not sure why I don't have one. All the other Danan slaves around me did. I was the only exception. They tended to keep their distance from me to avoid attracting any attention from the soldiers, because of my mask and all. What about you, Kisara? Do you still have your spirit core?
No. I was able to find a good Renan doctor who's sympathetic to our kind, and had them remove it before I left. They did such a great job, the procedure didn't even leave a scar.
One of the benefits of coexistence, huh?
I know that once the spirit vessel was shut down, there wasn't much need for me to hurry. But still, I didn't like having that mark of servitude lingering on me any longer than I had to. It may sound a little strange to hear me say this, but I'm just me now. Not a guardsman or a slave. I'm my own woman. And this is my chance to have a new beginning.
This sure is one rugged road. You'd think they'd keep this at least a little better maintained, right?
Why spend energy fixing that which is rarely used? Repairs require time and effort, which in our world means slaves, often in great numbers. For you, it may be a simple request, but that can quickly become another's difficult burden. Nobody gains anything without someone expending effort.
And you know, somehow that someone always ends up being a Danan, while the Renans are the ones who gain.
True enough. Ideally, in a perfect world, I think it's only fair that the ones who need it should be the ones to perform the work.
However, when doing so could be dangerous like it is here, there are many who would prefer that it be others who risk their lives in their stead.
So, what you're saying is that people will just put up with the inconvenience until someone else comes along to fix it for them?
Indeed. And it is those who can no longer bear that feeling that inevitably take action. Much like the Danans in our group do so now. As strange as it may be to hear such a thing from the likes of myself.
It's true that most of the Danans in Calaglia have been resigned to just accepting things as they are. Still, we can't just blame them for...
What are you making that face for? You're not worn out already, are you?
Nah, just regretting I ever said anything in the first place.
This one will be difficult to predict.
Dragon form!
Freeze Lancer! Don't mind if I do!
This one's double demon fang!
Airborne beast! My special!
Tiger blade! Here!
Flying free! Why can't they just be still?
Sia, can you take care of them?
No sooner said than done!
Here!
I shall ensure you survive
I
this.
never think!
Megasonic thrust!
Time to shine! Water! Hear my call! Hit the marksman!
I didn't even get to have my
Ready!
say.
History abound.
Commander of Heaven!
Phoenix Cyclone!
Did it!
Yeah! Nice technique!
Still!
This ends now!
Consider yourself finished!
This should make for some good weapon crafting material.
All right.
There's nowhere to run from my heart! When he slows down, back our chance!
Leave the agile.
Demon fang!
Can you take it or not? Leave the ensnaring to me.
Rising Wyvern! Stalagmite!
Resonate with the earth. You require a...
Demon Prey!
Can't get out of this!
Elusive deity!
Going in.
Tornado Drive! Prepare to be sealed!
Take this!
Here I come! Slot!
In a bind?
Demon Prey!
Resonate with the earth!
Demon Prey!
Stalagmite! Resonate with the earth! We're all in pain.
Demon Prey!
Resonate with the earth! Stalagmite! Take this!
Breathing storm!
No further!
Look sharp! Take this!
Tornado Drive! Resonate with the earth!
That's it!
Stalagmite! In a bind? Resonate with the earth! Stalagmite! Resonate with the earth! Stalagmite! Take this! No further!
Here I come! Here I come! Dazzle!
Resonate with the earth!
Alpin, astral energy!
Say no more!
Hear my call!
Resonate with the earth!
Do it!
Light burst forth!
Radiant Genesis!
Got some interesting moves there, Dohalim. I'm glad you're on our side.
I'm simply glad to hear that I can make myself useful to you all. Huh?
What's wrong?
We seem to have come across some rather unusual objects.
What, you mean that pile of garbage?
No mere garbage, I assure you. Still, I've never seen anything shaped like it before. I'm intrigued.
Are you curious about this stuff, Rinwell?
Yeah. I think he might have found some old Danon relics. They look like the remains of a bunch of objects that disappeared after the Renans first invaded.
And yet here I am, holding them without so much as a second thought. I imagine the sight must be unsettling to you.
Not really, just that it must be nice to be a Renan who has time to indulge in stuff like that, unlike the rest of us.
Are you interested in this stuff too, Dohalim?
Charmed may be a better turn of phrase. I simply love objects that can give me a sense of what their maker was thinking, the history that went into their creation. You see, we Renans have hardly any such objects that trace back to our distant past.
I still don't understand what you two find so intriguing about it, though.
Why not? We're talking about our own culture here.
I get that, but it's not like this stuff is any use now, does it? It's just old. Real old.
Oh, but it does. Holding it in your hands like this, one can feel and engage with the distant past in a way no history book can ever accomplish.
I'll take your word for it. Well, seeing as it's Danon history, just make sure you're careful with it. All right, Dohalim?
But of course.
I sense a strange power from this.
Visibility along this path will remain limited for some time. Take care not to get ambushed.
I'm surprised you know the terrain here so well. Lords don't strike me as having much time for wandering in the woods.
Sometimes I would take strolls along here when I would... This one will be difficult to predict.
Hear my call!
Take this!
Here's evil!
Resonate
I'm
with the
also
earth!
good with airborne targets.
Pesky airborne scoundrels!
Sounds like a job for yours truly.
Make it rain!
Law! Demons descend!
Flashing bang! My turn! No escape!
Elusive deity!
Do it!
Totally! In an instant! instant! Impact block! We work well together.
Like a finely timed waltz.
Luna, run here! I still got a ways to go.
It's so hilly around here. I can feel my feet getting blisters.
That's mountain hiking for you. It can be pretty tough if you're not used to these sorts of trails.
I take it you're comfortable.
Gotta break through! Double demon fang!
Far enough!
It's over!
I need to do the
Double demon fang!
Do it!
Here!
Bridwell!
Frozen.
Hammer!
We got fires!
I've got this. Let a marksman handle it.
An astral art? All yours! Dragon form! Not today!
I shall provide assistance.
Megasonic
Excellent
thrust!
technique. How are your weapons looking at? Best not to give me any ideas.
These little ones are hardly worth our time.
Less talking, more pummeling.
Cut them apart to your heart's content.
Tiger Blade!
Resonate with the earth.
Here, let me help.
Take this. You're helping me become a pattern.
It's for the good of all of us.
Is it now?
Glacial Spear. Here
I'm
it
ready!
is.
Chill!
This ends now!
Consider yourself finished!
I should be of some use to us now.
You weren't exactly dead weight before.
Except in regard to doing basic chores. I wonder if we can use this.
Retreat if you know what's good for you. In a bind?
I owe you one.
One more.
Megasonic thrust!
It's like trying to keep up with a wall.
I'm ready! Commander of Heaven!
Phoenix Cyclone!
Yeah!
Nice technique.
Now! Tear!
Okay,
Here I go!
why'd you heal me?
To stop you dying?
Right.
Don't worry, I've got plenty to go around.
Double demon fang!
Make it rain!
Megasonic...
Go for it.
Prepare to crumble.
Hear me. Flame
My
of
turn!
fury.
Fluid fang!
Water. Hear my
Double
call.
demon fang!
Red.
Tornado drive.
Do it. Lost. Demon's descent.
Flashing fang!
Hold up. Is this as valuable as I think it is?
This one will be difficult to predict.
Like moths to the flame.
Burn!
Reload.
Dragon swarm!
Either side.
Lightning. Downfall.
This one's mine.
Fury.
Take this!
Water. Hear my call.
No further! Dragon swarm!
Make it rain.
Astral energy.
Say no more! My turn!
Into the sky.
This one's mine.
Now you see what I can do.
Art expert coming through.
Make it rain.
Sora! Commander of Heaven!
Phoenix Cyclone.
That's a pretty fancy skill there.
All the better to protect you with, my dear.
Then I'll leave the front line to you.
Here! Megasonic Thrust! Here! That's too fast!
10 back. I'll trip it up.
Dragon Form!
Heal!
Leave the enemy's arc to me!
No complaints here!
Dragon Form!
Lightning! This one's
Get behind me!
Where are you going?
Dragon Form! Double Demon Fang!
Gravitas field!
Does it hurt?
Try harder!
Take that!
Take this!
Now you see what I can do!
No escape! You picked the wrong fight! Here I come!
Did you just heal me?
Yes,
I owe you
I
one.
need you, remember?
I think we can get through this.
Don't let up until it's over!
Who said anything about letting off?
Don't mind if I do!
So that's how a lord fights.
I don't perform as well when I'm observed.
I'm going to pretend I didn't hear you say that.
You're finished!
Hear my call! Tiger Blade!
Do it! Shion!
Go for it!
Prepare to crumble!
We're in good form!
This'll make us even more formidable.
More Danon ruins here too, I see.
What were people even thinking back then? Trying to build anything around here.
Let's dispose of the trash.
This one! Laser spear!
Here we go! Megasonic Thrust!
Freeze Lancer!
Denied!
Here! You picked the wrong fight! Dragon Form! Take it!
Healing
Take
Circle!
this! Double Demon Shattering Chill!
This ends now!
Consider yourself finished!
See you continue on in that vein.
Come on!
Yes, my lady?
Something you wanted to say?
Megasonic Thrust! Here I come! Dragon! I'll take you all off! Thrust! My turn!
Here I go! One more!
I'm ready!
I'm on some astral energy!
Say no more!